The LG V30 is one of the most feature-rich flagships of 2017. With so many smartphone manufacturers dropping useful components, it's nice to finally get my hands on something with all the bells and whistles. This is the retail version of the phone that I purchased myself here locally. And it's time to see if the LG V30 is durable. Now you might have forgotten about this phone since it was announced 7 weeks ago and only now becoming available to purchase. Let's hope it's worth the wait. The scratch test is first. Frederick Mohs designed this scratch test back in 1812 to differentiate between different minerals. The 6-inch display is covered in Gorilla Glass 5. Plastic would scratch at level 3, pure sapphire would scratch at level 8 or 9. So when the screen of the LG V30 scratches at a 6 or 7, it's to be expected. The iPhone 8 and the Samsung Note 8 both scored the same. Down at the bottom of the phone there is no home button. It's located around the back of the phone, due to most of the front surface area being dedicated to the screen, which I am a fan of. The closer we get to screens filling up the entire front of the phone, the better. Up at the top of the phone we have the front-facing 5-megapixel camera, under that same Gorilla Glass 5, so no damage to the lens will be happening here. The earpiece, which actually doubles as a microphone when recording video in loud environments, is recessed pretty far into the phone body. The grill is metal, which is good, but that recess is the perfect spot for dust and dirt to collect. Speakers are magnetic as well, so if you work around metal shavings like an auto mechanic, welder, or bank robber, metal shavings are attracted to that speaker magnet and could get inside, shredding that speaker cone, blowing the speaker. So having a metal grill with small vent holes is a good thing for people with physical jobs. But it would be easier to keep clean if that grill was more flush with the surface of the glass, like on the iPhones or the Samsungs, instead of a gaping hole. On the back of the phone we have the glass covering that wireless charging. The LG logo at the bottom is recessed under the glass, so no scratching it off down here. Same with the V30 logo in the center of the phone. It's also under the glass, and will never rub off or get damaged, ever. One thing that can be damaged though is the fingerprint scanner. Some fingerprint scanners are unscratchable, like on the iPhone or the OnePlus 5, but this one can be damaged. It's pretty safe to say that with normal use, the fingerprint scanner will never get this scuffed up, but it's also unfortunate that after the abuse, the scanner is unable to read my fingerprint anymore, constantly displaying the sensor needs to be cleaned. And also, for the record, most other phones survive this same level of abuse and still function. Just something to keep in mind, don't let the scanner get scratched. It'll still work as a button, of course, just not a fingerprint scanner. I went incredibly in-depth on this dual camera setup during my LG V30 teardown video, popping open the camera unit itself to look at the pretty incredible 10-bit image sensor. I'll link that video in the description if you want to see this phone reviewed from the inside. It is good to know though that the exterior of the camera is protected from scratching. No plastic to be found. Even the frame around the lens is metal. Continuing our search for premium materials brings us to the sides of the phone, and judging by the sound of my razor blade, we're looking at pure metal. The nice thing is that it's not painted metal either, so any scratches or drops will just expose more silver, the same color, keeping the visible damage to a minimum. The volume buttons are also made from metal, and up here at the top of the phone, next to the headphone jack, is solid metal. The antenna bands are plastic, but that's normal. Along the sides of the phone we have our SIM and expandable memory tray. I do like how LG kept things simple and didn't force any extra unwanted buttons on us like Samsung did with Bixby. I wouldn't be opposed if there was an extra programmable button along the side, as long as we get to choose what it does, like activate the camera or mute button, or maybe a more useful voice assistant. The bottom of the phone is metal. We have the loudspeaker holes and the USB-C port, all of which are water resistant. Jumping back to the 6-inch 1440p OLED display, we find that 10 seconds from my orange lighter were enough to permanently damage the pixels, which turned white and never recovered. Personally, I do prefer LED displays over LCD displays. The absolute blacks make videos look super good, so I'll forgive the non-reviving pixels. It's also pretty safe to say that I'm probably the only one on the planet dealing with flame damage. The LG V30 is IP68 water resistant, the same level as the Samsung Note 8, and one step above the iPhone 8, all of which were released this year. During the structural bend test, we checked the frame of the phone for weak spots, as well as checking to see if the flex compromises the waterproofing adhesive around the edge of the glass panel. There is a very minor flex to the phone when bent from either side, but there is no separation of either slab of glass. The adhesive holds it tight, and the phone remains structurally sound, surviving the bend test. no matter what side the phone is flexed from. This is a solid, premium-feeling phone on every single surface. I'll give LG a thumbs up for this one. While Apple, Google, Essential, and sometimes Motorola are pulling useful features from their flagships, LG is still here alongside Samsung, cramming every useful thing they possibly can into the phone, while keeping a solid, durable build. This is daily driver material for sure. Check out my teardown of the LG V30 if you haven't already. The aerial shots I got of New York City while using the rear camera are pretty impressive. Come hang out with me on Twitter and Instagram, and thanks a ton for watching. I'll see you around.